Hey everyone, hope you've been well. Today we're taking a look at the 9 different shortcuts and warps in Donkey Kong Country. We recently looked at secret bonus rooms, Kong letters. Now it feels only right to talk about all of the major shortcuts and warps. A few of these to start are pretty common knowledge, but majority of them are absolutely insane. So let's get right into it. Number 9. Barrel Cannon Canyon. The first half is highly likely the first shortcut a player will ever experience. Last level of the first world has a blast barrel on top of its entrance, which leads to a string of blasts across the top of the screen. Normally a player would get around halfway through the stage, but in order to go all the way through, you do need to know how to reach this out-of-sight barrel. It's up and to the left from these 2 jumping crocs, and you have to time it to bop off the highest jump, which is every 3rd bounce. The thing that really throws you off about it is there's already a blast barrel right here for you, but the real shortcut remains up and to the left. It's so cool watching the Kongs blast all the way across the second half of the level. This second part of the shortcut is pretty well hidden, but even still, with everything ahead, it's only number 9 on the list. Number 8. Stop and Go Station. This is another classic that I'm sure many have seen, a very cool secret where you actually walk back to the left from the entrance in which you came, and you'll be shot back with just the last stretch of the level to finish. It's not only a great shortcut, but pretty funny looking as well. Always a cool one to show, and I remember being blown away by it many years ago, but it's pretty well known. You only have to push left at the start to access it, so it's only number 8 on the list. Number 7. Minecart Carnage. Right in the beginning of the stage, before one of the more intense challenges in the entire game. Instead of racing for a couple minutes while jumping upwards of 50 times, now it's only once. So it certainly simplifies things and saves the player a lot of time. It's a real lifesaver for any player struggling with this part. As far as finding this one, it would be pretty hard to jump over this barrel by mistake and hug the wall. It's completely blind, but more well known due to the level's reputation. As awesome as it is, it's still not nearly as crazy and hard to find as the rest, making it number 7 on the list. Number 6. Snow Barrel Blast. I think many would argue this as the most valuable shortcut in the entire game. The first level of Gorilla Glacier isn't for the lighthearted. It serves as a brick wall of difficulty, with deadly spinning barrels that reach a surprising speed for quite a decent stretch through this daunting snowstorm. Fortunately, for those that can't get it done or simply don't want to bother, there's a massive bailout here, reachable after just the first barrel if you can hit the shot. Diagonal up and right while holding left will guide you to this lifesaver. You can also of course blast straight down from the 3rd barrel. This one is probably so well known just because of how hard the level is, and it's a major lifeline for anybody struggling to finish this brutal test. As vitally important as this shortcut has been, the next 5 are super well hidden, making it number 6 on the list. Number 5. Vulture Culture. Here's a cool one with some really neat fun facts. You have to get to a certain point in this level within a short time limit. You have to keep running to the right and basically not stop at all in order to get there in time. As you can see, we moved fast enough with Donkey Kong, so there it is for us to use, putting us right near the end of the level. But something that makes this warp so elusive is if somebody is primarily playing with Diddy, they would never see this blast barrel because, for whatever reason, it only shows up for Donkey Kong. Hard to say if it's just because he's the star of the show, but regardless of why, this is the case. Even more curious, if you get here fast enough with Diddy, the game recognizes you were there fast enough, but only reveals the barrel if you have Donkey Kong as your playable character. Very interesting warp and intriguing situation to have it appear with a couple underlying factors, making it worthy of number 5 on the list. Number 4. Slip Slide Ride. Now here's an obscure one. In the 2nd level of Gorilla Glacier, the location is so difficult to notice. It's accessible right above the first bonus room of the stage. Bop the Kremling high enough to reach this rope and slide on up to it. The only one of its kind, a camouflaged light blue barrel. This one will put you toward the end of the stage It does actually leave you with a bit of challenge left to go, but there is about 80% of the level cut out. This seems pretty hard to find. I mean, did anybody see this on their own, or was it insider info that got out first? Also, just due to their difference in height, it's not reachable by Diddy Kong. You need Donkey Kong's additional height. Try as you might and as close as you can get, for a second time in a row, you simply need the gorilla to get to the warp barrel. It's pretty easily reachable if you know to jump there with DK, but at a glance, why would you? It's nearly invisible, making it number 4 on the list. Number 3, Trick Track Trek. On the 5th world, Kremkrock Industries. Now here's a shockingly simple one at the very beginning of the stage, if you know it's there. The player's just incredibly unlikely to roll jump as far as they can, because that appears to be certain death. The platform is clearly there for you to jump on, but lo and behold, a nice roll jump or cartwheel at the right speed will let you reach this warp located just out of screen, and will put you right at the end of the level. It is a bit easier to reach with Diddy Kong, but it can certainly be done with both. Landing from a jump right near the edge allows you to roll and maintain your height for a bit longer, which helps a lot. It's hard to imagine finding this one, unless somebody was just trying to rage quit and roll jump as far as they could and ended up in the warp. But as surprising and bizarre as this is, there's still 2 more well-hidden warps, making it number 3 on the list. Number 2, Treetop Town. Donkey Kong Country always seems to lend a hand when it comes to their barrel blasting challenges. We looked at Barrel Cannon Canyon, Snow Barrel Blast, and now, in Treetop Town, there's a huge shortcut that allows you to skip all of the challenge. Surprisingly, the hint is barely visible. Although it's very hard to believe this could catch anybody's eye with the dark background and a few pixels of a tire. There's not too much contrast here to catch anybody's attention. It's even more camouflage than the bonus room barrel in Forest Frenzy, but instead of a sliver of brown on brown, it's basically black on black, a tire on a shadow. I guess as we zoom in with slow-mo, there's like a single white pixel with a blast barrel already right in front of you, so it's very easy to miss. You have to move into position on the bridge and bop this vulture in time to get on top of this tire, which brings you to a warp barrel that puts you out at the end of the stage. It's crazy that a bit is hiding in plain sight. It's just so incredibly hard to see. Plus you have to use the vulture to get up to it. If you move too far forward, you won't be able to reach it. It takes the right height and timing to get up there. It felt right putting this incredibly hard to find warp barrel number 2 on the list. Alright, here we are at number 1. What is the hardest warp to find in Donkey Kong Country? Number 1, Millstone Mayhem. Another second world shortcut, but this is by far the most odd, easily one of, if not the very hardest secret to come by in the entire game. It's super unintuitive and seems impossible to find if someone didn't outright tell you where it is. I'd even go as far as saying it's borderline impossible to find out because the situation is ridiculous. For one, the backtracking is so unnatural. You need to bop this tire out of the ground, and of course there's use for it if you push it to the right. In fact, you use this tire to reach the bonus room above this wheel, so it already has a clear use and doesn't feel out of place at all. Why would anybody think to go left with it? That seems stupid, right? I mean, there's a gap right here for the tire to fall into. But the thing is, you can get it across if you roll into it just right. Most bizarre of all, you need to move it quite the distance before jumping on it will bring you where you need to go. This warp requires so much effort that it's shocking and possibly not worth the trouble. But once you bring it all the way back to where the TNT barrels were, putting it right by this torch here, and have Donkey Kong selected, you can reach this ridiculously cryptic and well-hidden warp barrel. Yes, on top of all of the ridiculous things you need to do to reach it, you can't even do it with Diddy Kong. None of the others require such bizarre backtracking and precision, or such unusual movements with an object, making Millstone Mayhem number 1, the most well-hidden warp barrel in Donkey Kong Country. But that's just what I thought after checking out all 9 of these. What are your favorite secrets in the game? Have you found any of these before? I hope you have a great rest of your day.